part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another Reghi and Roda podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network, powered by MGM Northfield Park, where doors open at noon for simulcast races every day, plus live racing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday with a post time of 6 p.m. Head on out, have a great time, win some money. Tell them Roda and Reghi sent ya. And Michael Reghi, before we get rolling, as always, a shout out to our outstanding producer, Cordts, who makes sure all of you out there in the ever-growing podcatosphere hear the RnR podcast. And Reg, we're taping this on a Sunday night. Tomorrow, which will be the 11th of March, is when the legal tampering or the conversations can be had by NFL teams, players, and agents. And then on Wednesday, they can put pen to paper and sign free agents. And we're going to dive into maybe who the Browns have an interest in. But over the weekend, the big news was another trade that will be officially signed, sealed, and delivered on Wednesday involving the Browns and the Broncos, as Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver, going to be coming from Colorado to Cleveland. Your thoughts on that as we get rolling into this NFL official start of the season on Wednesday?
He's decent. I haven't been really enamored with him, right, through the course of his playing time. A lot of people feel that around the league, I've heard a lot of saying, the guy is someone that you're really not going to be able to depend on. I mean, he's had some good, good seasons, right? Good seasons, good moments. So I mean, if they're looking at him being the guy that is going to be the two, right? In this, maybe then I'm looking at it wrong, and that really they're not going to go after. But to me, I'd like to have them make a run at a Marquise Brown, at a Gabe Davis. Guys, yes, those guys are maybe amongst the top four of the free agent wide receivers in this free agency of 2024. But Gabe Davis, Kenny, is a guy that I've really looked at a lot and really like, and he's only 25 years old, and that fits the Browns' profile there. Again, to me, I want to enhance that position, and I think they need to enhance a position. Are they going to? Again, they stay real coy on that, so we'll see. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they really need to get another wide receiver to go along with Cooper and now Jeudy?
Well, I think Jeudy is the move. I think giving up a 5th and 6th round pick in this year's draft for Jerry Jeudy to Denver is their move, similar to the Amari Cooper move from a few years ago, when I think they gave up the same draft picks to Dallas to get Amari Cooper. I think they feel if they team him up, right? Cooper's a Bama guy, right? Amari Cooper's a Bama guy?
Yeah, he played a Bama.
And so, you've got two Bama wide receivers now with Jeudy and Cooper, and I know there's some relationship between the two. And last year, I'm looking at his numbers, 54 catches in 16 games, 758 yards, averages 14 yards a catch, only 2 touchdowns, but still decent numbers. I like the yards per catch average. The year before that, 67 grabs, almost 1,000 yards, 14 and a half yards a catch, and 6 touchdowns. So I think this is their move. I think this, because Mike Evans re-signed, because T. Higgins was tagged, who's the Pittman in Indianapolis isn't going anywhere, right? Lockett staying in Seattle. I think they looked at it from this standpoint. I think they went after Jeudy because they had an interest in him last year, and they go get him for what they feel they can give up, a 5th and a 6th, and then they'll see what the market says on a Davis, right, coming out of Buffalo. Or maybe with that 2nd round pick in what is supposed to be a very deep wide receiver draft, they go get a young guy to pair up with Jeudy and Cooper and use a second round pick on a wide receiver. So I think this allows them to, go in many different directions to add, if they feel it's necessary, another wide receiver, or this allows them to spend big bucks on Wednesday at another positional free agent.
Yeah, and I guess I think they believe they're going to get a lot more out of Elijah Moore in his second year.
Okay.
In the organization. Now, I don't know if I agree with that. I wasn't real enamored with his play.
Me neither.
Yeah, okay. So, again, it's just for me, I feel like they're thinking that he's going to be a lot better in his second year, which might make them. But I got Judy. I don't know. Are they looking at it that Judy is? They need better than what they got from Elijah Moore? Are they looking at Judy? They're still hoping Moore is going to be their strong two, and Judy add to the room as a real nice piece if he's your three. I'm not as convinced as they are that Elijah Moore is going to be a big time receiver and a guy that's as your two, Ken, that's going to give you what from your two. You'd sure like something like 55 to 65 catches for in that 700-yard area, right?
Yeah.
With maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns. I'm not convinced that he's that kind of guy. Maybe they are. I'd go after again, so you got Judy, fine. And we'll see. Yeah, I would imagine they think that's all they need. Again, that's going on that they believe Moore is their two.
So, I think they believe Judy's their two, and they feel more comfortable with Moore as their three, taking some of the pressure off of him. I would have Moore as my fourth or fifth guy. I didn't like the trade last year, and I'm not a believer, and I'm hoping said Tillman, passes him up, or they go and draft, a wide receiver to replace Moore, or even sign another free agent wide receiver.
Well, there you go.
I've never been a big Moore guy.
I'm with all of that. And you're right about incorporating said Tillman into the conversation, because he's the big wide receiver that if he can make that kind of jump, there you go. Now you got even if he's your three, right?
Yeah,
as you said. So even if it's Cooper and Judy and said Tillman. Yep. Being able to play that role of three, and he's your big receiver. I mean, hell, your three, if he can give you, 45 catches and a few touchdowns, well, you like that. You feel good about that. I hope that's the way. I'm glad you brought that out, because I hope that's the way it goes.
So we'll, get this deal, I guess, officially done on Wednesday, and all deals will get done throughout the NFL on Wednesday. That's when the league year officially starts on the 13th. But that was the big news over the weekend, that they're trading for Jerry Jeudy, a 5th and a 6th round pick this year, going to Denver. Reg, as I look at their own free agents, right? And I there are a lot of them too, because a lot of these guys were on 1-year deals, right?
Yeah.
And I look at this list. I put down 15 free agents. I'm going to read through them real fast. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
You jot down maybe your top 3 of these guys you would like them to keep as their own free agents. And then we'll get into who maybe they'll target other teams' free agents. All right. So here we go. Tight end Harrison Bryant, punter Corey Bojorquez, defensive tackle Jordan Elliott, running back Kareem Hunt, defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, defensive end Zadarius Smith, linebacker Anthony Walker, defensive tackle Shelby Harris, cornerback Mike Ford Jr., wide receiver Marquise Goodwin, who we didn't even mention.
We didn't know.
No, and I think there's a reason, because you and I both don't think he's going to be on the team. Center Nick Harris, safety Rodney McLeod, linebacker Jacob Phillips, linebacker Sione Taki, and quarterback Joe Flacco. To me, those were their, of the free agents that were their own, those were my top 15 of the Cleveland Browns. How many of those you're saying right now, got to have them back. They can't let this guy go or that guy go. Got to have this guy or these three or these four guys back.
Yeah, well, I'd like to have Anthony Walker back,
Okay.
to make sure that I think he's someone that's going to help solidify your linebacking core. Definitely want Maurice Hurst back, who
Okay.
did a real solid job against the run, especially. Keeping him healthy is probably the biggest thing there with him.
He had that
So,
pec injury in December, Reg. So
yeah, right, exactly.
You and I don't know how he's coming along with that, so that may factor into whether or not they re-sign
Right.
him in that.
Right,
But if
have
he's
not heard.
healthy,
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah. Don't know what the extent of that pec injury became, or if they feel like he is going to be ready to go. But for those two offensively, and then did you say the center as well? Is it
backup Nick Harris,
Nick
the backup
Harris?
center, is on this list. Defensive ends Darius Smith
Yeah.
on this list. Shelby
Okay.
Harris, another defensive tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess to me, I'd make sure I went heavy on the defensive side of the ball there,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So like I said, for me, Walker and Hurst are two guys, definitely. Who was the other linebacker that we said on that?
Sione Takitaki.
Sione Takitaki. Well, special teams guy too. There's
15
Worth there, as we
15
know.
games last year, 7 starts for them, 65 tackles, 1
Yeah.
interception.
Yeah, and again, it's like when you look at things, Kenny, do you feel you get everybody together? Can you upgrade at those positions?
Right.
Well, all right. If we say, do we want to keep Sione Takitaki? Do we want to keep Mo Hurst? Do we want to keep? You just said you just gave me the linebacker. I'm dry. Yeah,
or Anthony Walker.
Anthony Walker, Sione Takitaki, Mo Hurst, the Darius Smith. Now those are 4 guys that played a lot of football, right?
Yep.
For you defensively. So again, you're in your front 7, your D line and your linebackers. Can we upgrade there? And then Kenny, of course, then the dollars come into play, right? We going to upgrade there? Who? How much is it going to cost us? To me, though, Ken, if those four defensively come back and continue on as being Browns at the right price, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right.
Because all 4 of them can play and are going to help you.
The guy I want back out of all these 15 is Zadarius Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to start right there with Zadarius Smith. 5.5 sacks, 8 tackles for losses.
Makes sense.
20 quarterback hits last year. I thought he had a very, very good year. Now, I'm looking at the other 3 defensive tackles, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, and Jordan Elliott, who had 14 starts in 17 games for them last year. But
yes,
I've never been a huge Elliott guy. And there are reports out there, Reg, and this goes to your point, can you upgrade elsewhere? There are reports that the Browns have interest in a defensive tackle out of Miami in Christian Wilkins, who had just a phenomenal year last year for Miami. 65 tackles, 9 sacks, 61 pressures, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 10 tackles for losses, 6'4", 310, only 28 years old. Could you imagine Christian Wilkins and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line, sprinkled in with a Zadarius Smith as well? For me, I'll give up Harris, Hurst, and Elliott if I can go get Christian Wilkins.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, Wilkins is a hell of a disruptor of quarterbacks. He'll get after the quarterback. And that's someone that, as you just said it, if you can add that to Smith and Garrett, and then, you're going to put some pressure on quarterbacks. And I think that's, that's very important for the Browns. Like I said, not terrible, but I want to see them be able to put more pressure and on quarterbacks, and to have the type of defensive front 7 that is really going to cause problems. for when opponents put game plans together and how they're going to get their pass game and keep their pass game. Because to me, when you can pressure a quarterback, we know what happens there. When you don't give guys clean pockets to throw in, now you got something going on defensively, and it's gonna show up, right? It's gonna show up and make your entire defense better if you can do that. So, yes, keep what you have. I mean, keep especially Zadarius Smith. You're right. Keep him, and I'd still like to see if they could find a way to add a guy that gets after the quarterback too in free agency. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's a major topic of discussion, I'm sure, in that front office. And what's one of the topics you never want to talk about, but you need answers to? Manscaping, fellas. That's right. We transition right into this, baby. I don't care how old you are. You want to make sure everything below the belt is trimmed nice and neat, don't you? Here's your answer. It's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped. It features a new cutting-edge design and next-generation dual skin-safe blades, and this is for different types of shaves. It's pretty much a spaceship to take your boys downstairs to the moon and back safely. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. And how about this deal for you? You get 20% off plus free shipping if you go to the website manscaped.com and enter the code RAND, RAND-RP3. That's RAND RP3, and you get 20% off plus free shipping with that code RAND, RAND-RP3 at manscaped.com. There's no better way to take care of your boys than Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Go to manscaped.com now. You like how I worked that in there, Reg?
It was tremendous. I was just going to tell you that's you made that copy come alive. Good stuff there. Excellent.
Made it pop. Yeah.
Yeah, you made it pop.
Made it stand up on its own, as some people might want to say.
Nice.
Right before we get to a break here, there's another rumor out there. One of the talking heads who cover the NFL on a regular basis, and forgive me, I don't know if it was Shefty, Rappaport, somebody else, but one of the guys said the Browns are taking calls on one of their cornerbacks without naming the name of said cornerback. And I've got to believe it's not Denzel Ward. It's not Martin Emerson Jr. I think it's Greg Newsome that they're listening potentially, to offers for Greg Newsome. Would you be willing to get rid of Greg Newsome? And if so, what would you want back in return? Or is it somebody else you think maybe that they're putting out there on the trading block to kick the tires for other teams to see what they might give up?
No, I think you got it right. I think it's Newsome. But the first thing to me you got to look at is the Browns play 5 DBs a lot, right?
Yep.
And they've got 3 corners on the field quite a bit, right? You just went through the cornerback room there.
Yep.
Now, okay, the top 2, they're fine, but if you want to play 5 DBs and 3 of them are going to be corners, which that means that 5th is going to, your guy that covers a slot, right?
Right.
Well, if you want to do that and make it a big part of your defensive structure, you better make sure that your corners are real sound. So I don't know if I want to just again, unless I know that you got something coming here that's going to be able to step right in and give you the same type of, because they trust him, Kenny. They're right. I mean, a lot of, like I said, they a lot of snaps, plays in a lot of 5 DB, and so yeah, as you said, it's not going to be Newsome, right?
As far as
moving on from.
Well, yeah, I think it is Newsome that they.
Oh, you think it is? I see what you. Okay,
yeah. I think it's Greg Newsome who's going to be the guy out there because I think they like Cam Mitchell. They may bring back Mike Ford Jr. and feel that those 2 guys, along with the starter Denzel Ward, right, and Emerson Jr., right. So
No, I
I
get
think,
it. What point is you got to have that. You got to have that third corner that you really trust.
yeah. And
So, I mean,
did Cam
if
Mitchell do enough for you to believe in
not,
him where you would trade Newsome to try and recoup a draft pick,
yeah,
or no?
I can't go that way just
Okay.
yet. I don't see enough of him that he can be a guy that is going to. So we're talking about what, maybe, 50 snaps plus.
Yeah, I'm looking at
You
numbers. He didn't have any interceptions, Mitchell. Newsome had 2 last year, 14
right.
passes defense for Newsome. And, I
I mean,
guess, I don't
Ford is
know.
solid, right?
Yeah,
Ford's solid.
right.
What were his numbers, by the way, this year,
Let me go back. I'm pulling
Mike
it up
Ford?
right now. Let's see here. Here he is. Mike Ford for the Browns, 22 solo tackles, 1 interception, 2 passes defense. So, he made his presence known at least, right?
Yes.
And maybe they feel value wise for salary cap purposes, whatnot. That
Yeah.
he's coming on out of Southeast Missouri State. Cam Mitchell is out of Northwestern, same as Newsome. So it'll be interesting to see if this is just a bunch of hogwash and BS, and Newsome ain't going anywhere, or they're not looking to trade any of their defensive backs, or they are trying to acquire more draft picks, because this is the last year where they will not have a first round pick. I don't think they'll get a first rounder for Newsome, but maybe a second rounder.
Right. Well, if they were moving things around, Kenny, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to them trying to be able to uh, get another presence there. I mean, as a guy that can play corner and can cover in the slot as well.
Yep.
I think that's one of the positions now that in this NFL, man, you are really in a hurting if you don't have it. If you don't have guys that can, can cover the slot, and that again, as we said, that you can maybe, depending on game flow, have on the football field, for 50 anyway, right?
Yeah.
50, and normally it's in the 60 to 60 plus snaps, but maybe I'll drop that down, maybe, but 40 for sure. You got to have a guy you trust, I think, to be able to when you go 3 corners and 5 DBs, because it's such a large part of what you got to do defensively now against opposing pass games.
I think Martin Emerson Jr. is going to make Newsome maybe tradable, or at least a commodity. And that was a steal of a pick in the 3rd round. That is one of the best picks by Andrew Berry. And I think maybe it's allowing them, if there's any truth to this rumor that's out. And again, it's one of the national beat reporters throwing it out there, but it's maybe coming from player's agent. Maybe it's coming from the Browns front office just to create some buzz and see, if anybody calls on it, bites on it. We'll have to wait and see, but that's one of those rumors that's out there. We'll find out more tomorrow. Again, they're allowed to talk to free agents, and then on Wednesday they can sign free agents and trades can officially go through. And before we get to this break, real quick, Reg, the story coming out today: former Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield set to sign a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a $50 million guarantee. Good for Baker Mayfield. I wasn't a big believer in him, but I give the guy credit. When he seems about dead and buried, he rises from the dead and lives to play another day, and he's the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So good for Baker Mayfield.
Well, absolutely, and I feel the same way as you do. And not that it matters now, but
right.
I bet you that a whole bunch of folks that are listening to us on this particular podcast, if they're being honest, wanted Baker Mayfield out of here and didn't want him being a part.
I did. I was one of them. Yeah, I'm guilty on that.
Yeah. He is. As I say, good for Baker. You said it too. He's shown that he is a starting quarterback in the National Football League, right? I mean, and nobody gonna pay that kind of money to a guy to think that, well, if we got to start him though, is that good? No, he's a starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I think he showed that. Kenny, he can make an offense sing. I mean, they're a playoff team last year, right? I mean, playoff team with him as the starting quarterback. And, it seemed to me like that their pass game improved, and Mayfield was huge in that and getting that team to the playoffs.
And I think he was part of it, but I also think he benefited from having Mike Evans, who they re-signed as well. So
sure.
that combination, is a nice combo to have, and they're bringing both of them back to lead the offense for Tampa Bay. I think they finished 9-8, barely over 500, but it was good enough to win their division. They win a playoff game. Baker's now 2-2 in 4 playoff starts. So the numbers are what the numbers are, and so good for him. And I know his wife's expecting, so he's going to be a dad as well. So, good luck to the Mayfields on and off the field.
Yes, without question. I've always, I was like Baker, as you know. I mean, there were times we all questioned about, well, is he? But, I mean, right now, off what you know, what you see, I wonder how many, what is the Browns fans feeling about feel good about having Deshaun Watson as a quarterback, or would you rather have Baker Mayfield as your franchise quarterback right now? Not the same, man. Well, Baker's a couple years older.
Yeah.
But nothing of that's not a big significance. But again, it's it's an interesting thought, and I think that as you said, most Browns fans wanted him the hell out of here. And nothing to do with being the guy that ran this offense. So just kind of interesting the way things play out. But you're right. I mean, getting a chance to play with somebody like a Mike Evans, and when he's been, Kenny, I think, too, we talk about this a lot. Don't you think that it helps when a guy knows the Tampa Bay Bucs let him know, we trust you, we believe in you, we want you, you're going to be our guy, and let's go. Let's go make this happen. I think that does a lot, especially for quarterbacks.
I think confidence is a huge factor, but I am of the belief that, and we often wonder about this. I remember when the Browns drafted Courtney Brown. Did Courtney Brown make LeVar Arrington, or did LeVar Arrington make Courtney Brown? Remember those two?
At Penn State, you mean?
Yeah, at Penn State. Yeah. In college. Yeah. Did Johnny Manziel make Mike Evans, or did Mike Evans make Johnny Manziel? Well, Manziel's out of the league. Mike Evans just completed his 10th season of another 1,000-yard year, and he signed a big-time contract. So I'm of the belief that Mayfield benefited more from Mike Evans than Mike Evans benefited from Mayfield. I'm a big believer in Mike Evans. I was hoping he'd be an unrestricted free agent, and that's who the Browns would target. But the Buccaneers saying, no, we're not letting him go. We're going to bring both Baker and him back because they hooked up for 13 touchdown passes last year. Yep. So I think it's a smart move to bring both back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the confidence that Baker had throwing to Evans, they're doubling down now on that confidence by saying, here's $100 million, Baker, you are our guy. So we'll see how that plays out. And the Browns are still wondering what's up with Deshaun Watson and how that shoulder's coming along. And he's 8-4 as a starter, but that's only 12 games, not even a full season. And this will be year number 3 of the Deshaun Watson experiment.
Got to work this year, right? It's got to work. It's got to work, meaning as in a playoff football team and starting to make some strides too in the postseason. So that it's not much gray area there, Ken. I mean, that's what it's got to be if you're talking about what Deshaun Watson's got to give this football team, period.
I think a lot of people feel AFC Championship game and nothing less than that this year based on their defense and winning without him last year.
That's the way I feel.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
I'm not asking to go win a Super Bowl this year, okay? But AFC Championship game, get there. That means winning 2 playoff games.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, Reg, let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk some Cavs basketball. I've been to a few games. You were just there on Friday night to see the win over Minnesota. So we'll talk some Cavs when we return here on the RnR podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park on the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hey, the Roadman, Kenny Roda here from the Reghi and Roda podcast. If you've been in an accident and your car needs a little TLC or a little bit more than that, look no further than Newark Auto Body and Zanesville Auto Body. Safe, reliable collision repairs are their business. They're a local family-run and veteran-owned business serving Newark, Zanesville, and surrounding areas. They work with all insurance providers to make your experience hassle-free. Plus, ask about their special discounts for U.S. military veterans. Visit them today at autobodyofnewark.com or autobodyofzanesville.com.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we continue with the Reghi and Roda podcast, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. If you haven't been out lately, head on out. It's so much fun. Doors open at noon for simulcast races every single day. And then live racing, you get it Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. Post time, 6 p.m. where? At MGM Northfield Park. And tell them Reghi and Roda sent you. All right, Michael Reghi, we're taping this on a night when the Cavaliers, very shorthanded. No Evan Mobley, no Donovan Mitchell, no Max Strus, no Dean Wade. They just lost at home to the Brooklyn Nets 120-101. But, Michael, in a span of 4 days, they beat the top two teams in the NBA. Boston in the East, Minnesota in the West, and you were there for the Minnesota win. Give me your thoughts on the 41-23 Cleveland Cavaliers, number 3 seed right now in the Eastern Conference.
Extremely pleased with what I witnessed Friday night, Ken. I mean, against a very good Minnesota Timberwolves basketball team. And as you just said, without the key components that the Cavaliers are missing and were missing on Friday, I don't know how you can expect a much better performance than that. They were that good. I was very, very impressed. I felt J.B. Bickerstaff, who comes under a lot of fire, I thought he was real good with his rotations the other night and how he got everyone involved in their strength of play when necessary. Tonight, though, Ken, like I said, I'm with you in terms of coming up with a couple of wins over very, very good teams, but isn't that the NBA way? Now, tonight you play a team that's nowhere near the caliber of the two that we were just mentioning. Right. And they were bad tonight. They were bad. There wasn't anyone tonight. I can't single out one guy that I thought even played decent basketball tonight. So I guess the thing is now, you got to turn right around, and we know that you and I have been doing this long enough, and we've discussed it long enough. There are going to be nights like that where you just don't have it. And so I'm not going to kill anybody in particular or even the way the team performed and how J.B. Bickerstaff coached it tonight. But now tomorrow, And it's a back-to-back. You got the Phoenix Suns coming in, right?
Yep.
So now it's back to playing a real good team, and that's going to be quite a test. But overall, Ken, I think we've got to be pretty pleased with what the Cavaliers are doing, especially. Look, I like Evan Mobley, but I'm going to say without Donovan Mitchell now, that is your best player. Of course, it should help if you got Mobley playing, and he's not right now. But the fact that they're still able to be effective offensively on most nights without Donovan Mitchell, to me, Kenny, is and win basketball games against good teams on most nights, I think is something that's got to be looked upon as a real big positive for this team right now.
I want to believe. I really, really want to believe that they are what their record says they are, the third best team in the East, Michael. I really want to believe, but there's a part of me that says half quarter to beat Dallas. Boston was up by 22, let down, and basically gave you that game. And then you beat Minnesota without Karl Anthony Towns, although you were missing your best player as well. All right. So two out of those three, I know that Debbie, there goes Rhoda being negative again. I want to, but Reg, I'm not going to be able to believe until I see them beat a team of that caliber 4 times in a playoff series, right? It's one thing to do it in the regular season and to rack up 45, 50, 51 wins like they did last year, maybe more this year. It's another thing to do it when it matters most. And under JB Bickerstaff, in the play-in / playoffs, the last 2 years, they're a 2-6 team.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Under JB Bickerstaff now in 2+ years in the, after the All-Star break, they're an under 500 team when you add it all together the last 2 seasons and what they've done this year. So I want to believe, I really do, that when they are whole, that this is going to be a different team come postseason, that they will beat the Orlando Magic, the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks, or whoever they play in that first round of the playoffs. I really want to believe that, but unfortunately, I need to see it with my own very eyes before I'm going to stand up and say, yes, they have arrived as one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference.
That's fair, and that's the bottom line. There's no other way to say it. I just complimented them for what they've done. But as we both know, they have got to prove, as you just laid out, that they're going to be able to win a playoff series when you're playing the same team every other night for 2 weeks, maybe as much as a 7-game series, because the last presence we have of that from last late April, not good.
You're right.
Not good.
Yep.
And but Kenny, we know, especially in the NBA more so than any, there's just a huge difference between regular season basketball and playoff basketball. Now, that doesn't mean that you can stink the joint up, for 6 months and every other night. But if you do that, you're not going to be with an opportunity to be playing anyway in the playoffs. So, but it's different. And we cannot completely put our stamp on them and sing their praises until they prove that they can do that, and that is be able to succeed at playoff time when the game changes. It just changes, and every single possession is put at a premium, unlike a lot of nights in the regular season. Now, we both love the game, but I mean, anybody that tries to tell me that for 82 nights you're going to be seeing the best of and how teams value, no, it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
So we got to be convinced that at playoff time, and so it's going to take until we're not going to know really. And I think, would it be fair to say we're all going to have hesitation? We're all going to have reservations about the Cavaliers until the playoffs start.
Yep. And Reg, they're nice guys. You want them to win. You're rooting for them to win. It's a good basketball team. Hey, they're third in the East, right? I mean, they're ahead of New York. They're ahead of Orlando. They're ahead of Philly. Everybody has injuries. They've had as many as anybody. And here they are. They're third in the East. That's great. That's fine. But they were fourth in the East last year and had home court advantage and lost 4-1 to the Knicks, who were the 5th seed. So, again, let me ask you this. Do they look tougher to you this year physically compared to where they were in that New York series last year? Or do you see the same finesse team that played the Knicks last year?
To me, there's a slight amount of projecting that toughness, but to me, it's slight, Kenny. Okay. If you're going to use that and the term we just used, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a finesse basketball team. They are. I don't know. That doesn't mean you can't be a good team. To me, you're not going to win a championship. But look, we're not talking about that. We're talking about being able to. They got to win a playoff series first. That's the point here.
Yeah,
they got to show us that they're tough enough and strong-minded enough to be able to use their skills of finesse as a team can, if you want to call it that. And we're going to find out. But look, it's going to come down to how well does Donovan Mitchell play in the playoffs, right?
Yep.
And then secondary to him, Darius Garland. How well do those two play particularly? Because we've talked about it a million times and nothing's changed. Kenny, that Cavaliers backcourt is, I don't know, I don't have the exact number, but, to me, what I see and, having been around this game, they're probably a good 65, if not those two, if not 70%, Ken, of the Cavaliers offense.
Yeah.
And what they look to do offensively. Sometimes I think the two of them up near 45 and sometimes 50 shots per game between the two of them. I don't know, but look, that's what it is, and that's who they are. And those two guys are going to have excellent games. They're going to have strong series, and if they're going to win, Kenny, those two are going to have to carry it.
I agree with you. I think Evan Mobley has to be better. Jared Allen needs to be consistent with the double-double come playoff time. And, Reg, I just did the math. 18 games left for the Cavaliers in the regular season. 7 home games. 11 of them are on the road. And check out who they play on the road, Michael. L.A. Lakers, L.A. Clippers, Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers, New Orleans Pelicans. Those are 8 of the 11 they play on the road. And those are all playoff teams and top 5 playoff teams in the East or the West. So,
and as much as and I'm glad you, and if you eight games against those playoff teams on the road, would it surprise you if they lost 6 of them?
No,
surprise me.
No, not at all. And that trip out west starts in Denver, runs through Utah, Phoenix, and both LA teams before they come home to close the season with 3 home games. So
tough trip.
It's very tough. And of the 18 games, I could see them going 7-11, Michael. I could see them being under 500 in these final 18 games and not reaching the 51 win total from a year ago based on that schedule. So prove us wrong, get the guys back healthy, but most importantly, peak at the right time, which is in the postseason, the first round of the playoffs. And hopefully that's as a 3 or as if I think Milwaukee's going to win the division. I think they'll be either a 3 or a 4 seed. If they can hold on to that and get home court advantage, that's ideal. So
yeah, I'm with you there. 3 is about, I think, the optimum there.
Right. Yep.
But I'm with you all the way there. I've got a feeling it might be the 4 seed.
With this schedule, yes.
Yes, with that schedule, yes.
Very, very well could end up being the 4 seed. So
absolutely.
We'll see. It's going to be fun, and we're hoping that they improve and prove us wrong, and we'll be the first to admit it. But I'm going down. When am I going next? I'm going to watch them whenever they play Miami coming up here this month. I think that's a Wednesday, the 20. What is it? The 20? Yeah, the 20th. I'm looking up at the schedule. So I'm going to go see them in person again. This will be the 5th time I think this year I've been down there to watch them. And that'll be, hey, this is Miami's time of the year. This is Spo's time of the year, right? This is when they make their push to position themselves in the playoffs. And they don't want to be in the play-in tournament like they were, right? They want to be a playoff team. So the Cavaliers have to play them twice, once at home and once on the road. So that'll be a great test for them against another physical. And what I want to do, Reg, is I'm going to look in maybe in the next podcast, something we talk about. I'm going to look at these teams and mark down physical or finesse and see how the Cavaliers do against the physical teams that are left versus the finesse teams. And unfortunately, I think there are more physical teams than finesse teams.
No, I think you're
for
right.
The Cavs.
Yeah, I was shocked today. By the way, Miami lost to Washington today.
What? Here I am just singing their praises.
They got beat by Washington.
That's unreal. See, well then maybe we should give the Cavs more credit when you see crap like that happening around the league, right?
I was watching the Cavaliers and I was very, very surprised when I saw that final. But yeah, Washington beat Miami, and I think it was by 7 or 8.
Wow. Okay, there you go. So Roda and Reghi, you're going to eat some crow. Fine, we'll gladly eat crow.
If it's about the Cavaliers winning a couple of series, I'll be more than happy to do that.
I got some great barbecue sauce, Reghi, from Old Carolina Barbecue.
I love it.
Oh yeah, it's a good classic with a little zing to it and everything like that. We'll pour it on that crow and eat hearty. All right, so let's hope we have to do that. All right, that's going to bring this edition of the RnR podcast to an end. Shout out again to MGM Northfield Park for their sponsorship as always. Don't forget, check out the Lawnmower 5.0 from Manscaped.com. Insert that code RAND, R-A-N-D, RP3, get 20% off the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and you get free shipping and Newark Auto Body, too, if you need some work done on your car. All right, Michael, we'll do this again in a week or so, and we'll see what the Browns did in free agency, where the Cavs are, and we'll preview the Guardians, as by then I think the season will be about ready to get started.
Yeah, look forward to all that, Kenny. We'll talk then, buddy.